It's very obvious.
It was really well shot and beautiful, I will say.
For sure. But I'm like, what kind of message are you sending me now? Is this like, all of Elizabeth's hopes, dreams, jealousies of,
Yeah, I don't know. And it's not like you can't be a little bit jealous and then also not want it. You know what I mean? Be willingly childless and then be like, oh wait, maybe I should have or something. But it did kind of seem a little bit of a backwards message. And then there's that moment where she's like fawning over the cult and then kind of bumps up her dress. And I was surprised.
Like she's desperate also for a child. But I don't know. The film touches on it a little bit. I don't think as much maybe as it should have, but I think for Elizabeth, it was definitely a choice. Like she said, as soon as she names an heir or something, she's immediately threatened. Yeah, she didn't marry.
She was the queen. She could have married anyone.
All of these people posed a threat to her rule.
Yeah, for very good reason, which is kind of shown. So yeah, I think they're trying to show this as the smarter but lonelier choice compared to Mary, who sort of became infatuated, maybe, at least with Henry.
Right.
So, trying to show her as more mature and reserved and smarter, but it's also lonelier, which I absolutely believe in Elizabeth's case, but I don't know if I specifically believe that she really wanted children.
Right.
Because she made a point of not letting any man lay claim to her crown.
Mm-hmm. I did though, there's a scene, I think it was the scene where they finally meet, and they're discussing it, and Margot Robbie as Elizabeth says, I've become more man than woman. And I think, referencing not only the fact that she's not a mother, not a wife, but she's just become more cold, and, sort of emotionless in this ruling that she's doing. What do you think about that?
I thought it was really interesting. I think that there is it follows kind of this idea, basically when you don't want to be trapped in a gender role, that you have to reject femininity altogether, which I think even people struggle with today.
So how do you feel about the way that this movie sort of pits these two women against each other?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, by all accounts, they're the only two people who would understand one another in any way in this really rare instance of having queens inherit the throne. So yeah, I think on the one hand it has this kind of theme of women in competition, which is a real thing in our society. But I think they do also a good job of showing that it's really men that are behind their reasoning. The idea that Elizabeth was more sympathetic to Mary.
And I do think that it opens up, it gives you a glimpse of maybe what the relationship could have been if they worked together instead of against each other, whether that be, with these men in the way or not. But I think that's definitely a message that I sort of took from that, kind of, it didn't revise history, but it did give you the option of seeing it another way, what could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other big thing of that was not just the men that were holding them back, but also religious differences. Had one not been Catholic and the other Protestant, there could have been, I'm sure had Mary been a Protestant, Elizabeth absolutely would have helped her and not have wanted to see another queen disposed by the men around her. I think that there's no doubt in my mind.
I don't know. I have a little bit of doubt. Mostly because Mary, I guess then Mary's claim wouldn't have been as strong.
Right.
So I was going to say, if Mary still wanted her throne, I could still see that, hesitancy towards...
But she wouldn't have had the Catholics rallied behind her.
That's a fair point. It changes all of that.
Yeah. So I really think... And she would have given her Scotland just to be here you go. Be happy with this, and your son can be my heir.
So I do think that, that was kind of like the subtle message that the movie was sending us. But I also thought it didn't necessarily jive, I guess, with the different portrayals of them, like what they were showing us, right? So it's kind of like, see, like these women would do great things if they work together. However, all of these things are holding them back. But at the same time, they're showing us Mary, young, vibrant, energetic, go get 'em, underdog, like going out for the win. While Elizabeth's just getting old and losing her hair and needing more and more makeup, and she's like physically deteriorating along the roads. And
which, with all that lead, perhaps mentally too. I've never seen that in a portrayal.
She gets more paranoid as time goes on. Like she's going crazy a little bit as well. So it's just like her character is deteriorating. Where like Mary's character is. I mean, she's being faced with all this adversity, but she's facing it, full on running towards it.
Which, on another subject, can we just talk about for a moment, the makeup on Margot Robbie was so good, so well done. And then Saoirse Ronan is beheaded. She's supposed to be 44. They can't even give her a wrinkle.
Yeah,
she looks fresh-faced,
just like she did at the beginning of the movie. Like, I don't really understand that.
Well, and I had the same thought for Elizabeth's lover, too. They show Elizabeth aging, and part of it's the pox scars. But, yeah, Robert Dudley is just looking as 27 as ever, because that's how old he is in real life,
For Cecil, Guy Pearce's character, the advisor to Elizabeth, him, too. They show him at the end. It's got a little bit more gray.
Yeah, they added a little bit of more salt to his
Guy
pepper.
Pearce. Yeah, you still just look like yourself.
Yeah, it was just a strange choice that was earnestly distracting for me. It's just wait a second, why are you the only one who's old? And
it was just and I could see how you want to use that visual effect on Elizabeth to show how she's changing in all these other ways, but you can't just age her 30 years and nobody else and not think that anybody's going to notice.
And we do have, there were letters and stuff from Mary. I think it honestly would have been interesting to see a little bit of what she's up to under house arrest for 25 years,
Well, the movie was already hitting,
really
2
long,
hours?
I know.
That is one of the things that I didn't care about this movie so much. It did seem to stretch out a little too long.
Honestly, it's one of the only movies I could make it through without having to pee the whole thing recently, so I was okay with it.
Well, what do you think about our feminist frame rating for this movie? Obviously, it passes the Bechdel test. 2 women that talk to each other about something other than a man.
Yeah, although, honestly, with those 2 characters, barely. But Mary Queen of Scots did have her little ladies in waiting all the time. So
I actually remember thinking in that movie, I was just I don't think I've seen 2 women speak together, because Elizabeth's always shown with her, advisors who are all men.
Yeah, she really doesn't have these close women friendships like Mary does, which is an interesting point too for her youthfulness and versus the loneliness of Elizabeth.
That's a good point.
I think I mentioned earlier, but that was historically accurate. She had those 4 women with her.
They were all named
until
Mary.
The day she died.
Yeah. Yeah, I did read that. They were with her over there in exile?
Yeah, and a little interesting note that they didn't do, but they could have. The whole dress thing, the dramatic dress thing was real. Her reveal. And also she brought her little dog. So whenever, after she had been executed, her dress started moving, and it was the little toy dog running out.
That's creepy.
Yeah. It was super weird.
That's so bizarre.
But anyways, yay, Mary for female friendships. Anyway, yeah, 2 badass top bill actresses doing a great job. Kind of surprised they didn't get a Golden Globe nom. and, exploring women in power in a time where they weren't supposed to be.
Absolutely. I would take off some points, though, for how much they stress this theme of motherhood and our marriage as sort of, being that source of happiness.
Yeah.
I think, because I think Elizabeth was a boss bitch. And I think she very consciously made some of these decisions in her life. She had her lovers, she had her company, but she wasn't about to sign away her power to some man. Like, don't try to, tell me that like marriage and like babies are the like fulfillment you need for a happy life.
Yeah, and on that note, another thing they kind of skip over by not showing Mary's later life is that her son grew up to be king, and he could have helped her, but was raised Protestant and didn't lift a finger to do so. Mm-hmm. Nor did he write to her or ever visit her. So cold, James, cold. So yeah, I'm not really sure that like Mary was overly fulfilled by her motherhood either. Even though she got what she wanted in producing an heir, I'm not sure it totally worked out for her.
He wasn't so nice to you, though, moms.
Yeah, that's rough. So yeah, I also didn't love that theme, and I want to say like you could be a feminist and like want babies or want that life.
Absolutely.
I just don't actually believe that that's the only thing that people want. And I definitely don't think it's the only thing that Elizabeth wanted or at all.
Like she was the queen of the most powerful country in the world. Like,
yeah. And I mean, she likely was, barren later and after she got pox, like as they kept saying. But she had a lot of time before that to grab up a husband if she really wanted one.
And that's, like, I feel like there's so many suitors around. I mean, she got her company on with her gentleman friends. So, again, I think it was a conscious decision that she made to retain that power and that control.
So, yeah, overall, I did love seeing these badass women on the screen. And I think I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, see, I'd give it like a 3.5.
Oh, well, if we're doing half scores, I'm following Goodreads rules where I can't do points, but I would also land on 3.5.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely liked it. And I don't know, I think that my love for, period dramas probably pushed me ahead a little too much. But thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it said a lot of important things and also gives you a lot to talk about.
Speaking of period dramas starring queens and amazing female casts, we're really excited to see The Favorite that's on our radar.
So pumped.
And I hope you don't feel like it's repetitive, but we'll probably have an episode coming on that soon. So.
Well, maybe not. I've heard great things about Favorite. From the sounds of it, it's very, very different in tone and style from this movie. So,
yeah. Well, it's directed by, hopefully I say this right, Yorgos Lanthimos, who did The Lobster.
I didn't know that.
So I hope that's indicating that it's going to be delightfully weird, because that movie, if nothing else, is fucking weird.
I read like previews, I guess, of The Favorite that described it as weird. Also vulgar, also raunchy. So I am super excited for this.
Yeah, and Queen Anne is an interesting story in of herself too.
I don't know much about her.
Queen with some turbulence and no heirs. So
exciting stuff.
Yeah, cool. Really pumped about that. And also on my radar is I've been playing through Mutant Year Zero.
Did you say Mutant?
Mutant, yeah, which is a post-apocalypse game, and it's turn-based, and you play it like a board game, all the fighting scenes.
It's not about X-Men, is it?
No, these post-apocalypse, these animals have become mutants and are now sort of humanoids.
Oh, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, kind of.
Very cool.
But shooting lots of people.